Bantu mwese muri hano mwaramutse neza. Nishimiye kwitabira inama nkuru y'umuryango wa RPF nanjye. Mwakoze kutugezaho ubutumwa n'abagize uruhare mu gutegura iyi nama. Reka nongere muri abandi bari bamaze kutugezaho twakira abashyitsi, inshuti, zaba izo mu gihugu, zaba iziva mu bihugu byo hanze, mu miryango ya politiki y'ibyo bihugu byo hanze, by'inshuti, ibindi by'abavandimwe. Uyu munsi rero birazwi, icya mbere na mbere turizihiza imyaka 35 RPF ibayeho. Imyaka 35 washaka yayibona ko ari imyaka mike. Bamwe muri twe tuyibonamo imyaka myinshi cyane. Ndababwira impamvu. Imyaka 35 kuri RPF bamwe kuri twe tubyumva nk'aho ari imyaka 100 cyangwa irenze. Bishingiye ku byatumye RPF ibaho, ku bibazo RPF yagombye guhangana nabyo. Nuko guhangana nabyo ukwabyo byatumye bamwe muri twe muri RPF uburemere bwabyo busa nkaho twahanganye nabyo imyaka irenze 100. Ibibazo bya mbere y'ubukoroni, na nyuma y'ubukoroni. Umva twabayeho imyaka 30 ishize n'itanu, ariko twagombye guhangana n'ibibazo byari bimaze hafi imyaka 100. Uko guhangana nabyo rero, uburemere bwabyo, niyo mpamvu uvuga ko bisa nkaho ibyo byabaye urugendo rw'imyaka 100. Ikindi bivuze ni iki? Ikindi bivuze ni uko mu rugendo nk'urwo nta muto nta mukuru, uko ungana kose igihe kiyo kigeze urabyitabira. Uru rugamba, uru rugendo rwa RPF rw'imyaka 35 rwitabiriwe cyane cyane n'abato, ariko ndetse n'abakuru bari bababyaye nabo babaye aba mbere kurwitabira. Nta muto rero nta mukuru. Niyo mpamvu bigeraho iyo myaka 35 igahinduka myinshi kubera ibyo ngibyo ubwabyo. Ikindi, nk'uko mvuze ko nta mukuru nta muto muri urwo rugendo, ni nako nibwira ko nta gihugu gito nta gihugu kinini. Byose ni ibihugu. Abantu ni abantu. Uru Rwanda mureba rw'aya mateka n'andi arenze aya mvuga cyangwa ayo ndi buvuge, ruzwi nk'igihugu gito. Nibyo. Kilometero kare batubwiye 26,000 gusa, yongeraho utundi duce duke. Ariko ntabwo turi izo kilometero kare gusa. Ntabwo turi ibyo bice byiyongeraho. Turi abantu. Abantu twifitemo byinshi. Twifitemo gushaka kuba abantu bazima, kugira ubuzima bwiza. We have ambition, we have expectation, we have a sense of the burden of responsibility. And we have all this in no less a measure of any country, irrespective of its size. Rero ariko kugira ngo ube hutyo, kugira ngo witware utyo, uhitamo. You must choose. You have a choice to make. You can't just be like this. You can't achieve, you can't succeed, you can't have ambition, you can't have high expectation unless you are able to choose. Choose what you want to be and choose what you want to do. And just go ahead and do it. There are no half measures if you want to be like I'm describing. And I'm saying this very well aware of the constraints. Of the difficulties, some of which look and feel insurmountable. I'm aware of that. You are aware of that. But still you have to make that choice. Absolutely. There are no two ways about it. And that's why, from the beginning, we chose three things to enable us. One, to think big. Don't think small. Think big. The second, to be together. We must be together. The young, the old, the weak, the strong, the educated, the uneducated, and so on and so forth. It doesn't matter how different we are. We still have to be together. The third, we have to be accountable. Accountable to each other, accountable to others. Others even beyond our own selves as Rwanda, meaning accountable to others outside of our borders, because at the end of the day, there is a way we affect them and the way they affect us. So we have to think about that. And this is so that, as some people said yesterday in the very good discussions we had, there is no such a thing as entitlement. We can't behave and feel and act as if we are just entitled. And you know, we have had such problems even in our own RPF, our own party. We have had all kinds of problems that I know others have had or have. We have had our time, our people, to feel entitled, which is wrong. But we have had our ways always to look up to each other and look each other in the eyes and find a solution to our problems. We have had that. We have had our moment. In some cases, we have succeeded. In others, we have not been so successful. But I think we have succeeded more than we have failed. So we stay the course. We have to stay the course. We have to keep trying. We have to keep making mistakes, just out of trying, not for the sake of it, but we also have to keep trying to find a solution of every problem that has confronted us. So life keeps going on. In the journey of RPF, there are things I cannot fail to mention or highlight. And first of all, a tribute, a huge tribute to all those young and old men and women who sacrificed. Many of whom are no more, others still living, and living on with wounds of all kinds. Others living with the pain that came with all those sacrifices, but all in the end rewarded by the progress we have made this far. So, as we move forward, every time we have to remember all this, where we have come from, and those that are no longer with us, but who have enabled us to keep moving on. Now, but all that were taken into account, understood. So, we have to move on with our task. We have to move on with the heavy task of continuing to achieve and continuing to build and continuing to be accountable as we thrive. Muri ibyo byose rero hari aho umuntu yagera noneho agashaka kubabwira, kuganiriza ibintu bimwe biri mu nkuru y'imvaho y'ibiba byarabaye. Bigaragaza nuko kwitanga kwa benshi, gukomeza igihe cyose. Sinatinze cyane cyangwa se navuze ko bike ko byabaye urugamba rwa politiki rw'intambara, ibyabayemo byose, abatakaje ubuzima uko byagenze kose. Hari bimwe umuntu yaheraho ababwira, abantu wenda bibaza kugeza uyu munsi. Reka mpere urugamba rwa mbere rukirangira, RPF igeze aho ariho hose mu gihugu, hagiyeho leta yagejeje gushyiraho inzego zose, kubaka duhereye ku busa. Twahereye ku busa. Ashaka kubereka ukuntu byari ubusa, ariko n'ukuntu ibintu bivanga, ibyiza n'ibibi byose bikavamo isomo rituma abantu bakomeza gukora neza babishatse. Ashaka kuvuga ibintu byinshi nabyo bikomeza bijyana n'igihe cyashize cyangwa n'igihe gishya, ariko bigaragaza ko hari ibigomba gukorwa. Tugera hano nta kintu, nta n'ifaranga na rimwe riri muri treasury. Barakukumbye ibintu byose, bakukumba, uzi gukukumba ugahanagura, ikintu cyose cyaba gifite agaciro kikagenda. Central Bank barayikukumba, ahantu hose hitwaga ko hari ikintu cyaba gifite agaciro kiragenda, ariko nta nubwo ari igitangaza. Ibifite agaciro ka mbere kabanza byari byagiye n'ubundi. Ubu ni ubuzima bw'abantu mvuga. Ntabwo yaba utwara ubuzima bw'abantu ngo bagusigire ibindi. So we had to build. Amakuru abiri nshaka kubabwira. Ndibuka abenshi twari tudafite n'imyenda yo kwambara. Ndetse n'abo twasanze mu gihugu twakoranye nabo mu mitwe ya politiki itandukanye n'iki, tugiye dushyizeho leta, hari aho twavanye amafaranga yo kugira ngo twambara kugira ngo nibwo bwari ubwa mbere nambara isuti. Bagiye gushaka, ariko icyo gihe aho basanga isuti nkwira harabura. Bagombye gufata iyo ari yo yose, hanyuma bayisubiramo barayikata kugira ngo inkwire. Ibyo murumva impamvu itankwiraga, murabyumva. Bamwe ntabwo twariho. Utujya no mu bandi dufatanyije nyine nabo turabambika, ariko bo ntabwo bari babikeneye cyane nk'uko twari tubikeneye twebwe. Ndetse ingendo z'abakozi ba leta icyo gihe twashyizeho, abaminisitiri n'iki, nabwo dufata muri wa mufuka tukajya tugura amatike. Aho mvuga amafaranga yavuye, ni amafaranga yari yasagutse ku rugamba. Abanyarwanda mu ntambara y'urugamba ya RPF yo kwibohora, hose aho baba ku isi, mu gihugu, hanze, hose batangaga umusanzu. Utanze ifaranga rimwe, utanze 100, utanze 1000, utanze 10, utanze ibihumbi 100 n'ibirenze, barayatanze. Aragwira, tukayaguramo ibyo kurya, tukayaguramo ya myenda y'intambara ku rugamba iki. Hanyuma tugeze i Kigali, hari ayari yasagutse. Ayo yasagutse niyo yatangije ubuzima, aho ubuzima bundi bwose bwari bwahanagutse. Ni nayo yavuyemo kugura. Twohereje abantu bajya mu baturanyi, mu bihugu by'abaturanyi, bajya i Burundi, bajya Uganda, Congo, abandi bakomeza bajya za Kenya, kugira ngo dushyire ibikoresho mu maduka hano isukari, isabune, byose nta byari bihari. Duha abantu amafaranga tuyavanye muri uwo mufuka, kugira ngo ubuzima butangire, abantu bagire aho bahera dushobora gukora ibindi. Icyo ni kimwe. Icya kabiri nshaka kubageraho rero noneho ni urusobe rw'ibibazo. Ubwo turakora ibyo dushaka aho duhera ngo dutere imbere. Muri iyo myaka ya mbere twakoraga ibyo. Umuminisitiri wa mbere gusohoka agiye ku kazi ka leta, afata ya mafaranga amwe twagize dushyira hirya no hino ngo twubake ubuzima, afata amafaranga ngo agiye gufungura za ambasade hanze, ndabyibuka, ibihumbi 200 by'amadolari. Aragenda, n'ubu ntaragaruka. Arayahambiriye, arayatwaye. aba mu Bufaransa. Ariko sinzi ko ayo mafaranga kimutunze, igomba kuba yarashize kera. Aragiye yibera hanze mu Bufaransa. Ndetse tukagerageza kubwira icyo gihugu ngo ariko hari umuntu hano watwambuye, turatakamba. Bakaduseka, ahubwo bariho babwira n'abandi ngo nabo batwara ayandi bagende. Hanyuma noneho muri twe no muri RPF, aba muri twe abarwanya intambara bagize bate, sinzi uko babigenza, nabo bamwe bafata inzira barigendera, kubera ko ubundi muri bo banarwana n'iyo ntambara, ibyo bari bafite mu mutwe bazageraho cyangwa bazigezaho, baje gusanga atari wo mugambi rusange wa RPF. And when there was accountability to be exercised by RPF, they could no longer fit in RPF. They had to leave. Some of them were in high positions. Some of them had reached the positions of being the Secretary General of RPF, others had, and so on and so forth. And here, we are human beings, we deal with the human beings, and what I'm saying must be seen in that light. In one case, like that one who at one time became the RPF, Secretary General, first, we had a debate, we had a discussion. What do we do with this money that was collected from RPF cadres and supporters and so on and so forth? that was left when we got into government and the struggle, first phase was over. I think people wanted to consume it and finish it. But some of us had this idea that we can't do that. We must find a way of actually multiplying these resources even into the future, so that we retain this level of independence, of financial autonomy for the RPF itself as a party. I'm bringing up this because it's important. There are a few things I want to point out. And I remember there are also debates. Oh no, the RPF can't do business. You know, if you invest it, you want to make more money. Oh, this is a recipe for all kinds of problems. But some of us pushed back and refused and said, no, we can't just consume this money and it gets lost and we are done and start afresh. We have to maintain this level of independence for our party. They talked of all kinds of things. I remember that person who used to be Secretary General arguing, it's like, no, you can't do business, and even started making other serious accusations, like some people or somebody wants to control this money for his own benefit and so on and so forth. But this person, I'm sure the RPF cadres, many of them here know what I'm talking about, was actually eventually caught stealing money. And on that basis, when he was going to be held accountable, he ran away and is up to now still living in the United States. So we soldiered on. And I was telling people that if you are worried about keeping this money for the RPF and keep it growing and for the sake of RPF and so on and so forth, because you think there will be thieves stealing the money, and I had told them, I said, actually, if you can't do that, you are going to be stealing money from government. What is it? What's going to stop you stealing money from government? Because the RPF, we have become government now. You are worried you can't keep money of the RPF and you can't do that, and because it will cause the kinds of problems. Why isn't this one going to cause problems? Or you think, let's avoid this problem, but let's have it in some form in government because it is government. And that's where this problem started. And there was a sense of entitlement every time. You know, the usual stuff. People do wrong things and they don't expect to be held accountable because they fought, they sacrificed. You can't touch them. But they would expect you to touch others. We said, no, Even now we say no. All of us must be held accountable. That's how we can be able to move forward. We are held accountable politically. We are held accountable by other means or through other means. But you must have a sense of accountability. That's when the sense of responsibility goes up. But the sacrifices of RPF permeated into government and structures and institutions. I will tell you one other story and I stop there for other things. The other story was when we entered the government, the soldiers of RPF, ones who had been fighting his wars, they stayed without being paid a salary at all for 2 good years. Actually more. And by the time we started getting money to give people some salaries and so on and so forth, even the salaries for our soldiers had also been available. That's when there were activities of insurgency, mainly in the northwest part of our country, and then it started coming all over. So within the family of the RPF, the fighter side, we agreed that, you know what, instead of giving us these salaries, let's use this money. Let's put it together and add a little more, and we buy equipment and other tools to use to fight the insurgency. So they never received salaries. They were just being given, in fact, they were receiving food, some of it, which was coming for humanitarian reasons. They were just being given ration for food. So these are people who were fighting before, with, just in the struggle. They've reached the government. They find there are no means, and they decide, no, let's, in actual fact, trade our salaries for means to enable us to fight the insurgency. Now, this thinking is purely and simple and simply the core of what RPF is. And it must be maintained even now, because there are certain, there are these circumstances and the global environment and all kinds of things we face that we need to make these kinds of sacrifices. We will always be asked to do that because we have ambitions we have challenges. We have to deal with so many things that are beyond our means. So we have to be innovative every time, find ways of going around certain things so that we still, in the end, come out very good. So, as we interact with the rest of the world, when we are telling them every time that, you know, we need friends. I'm happy some of our friends individually or parties or countries are here. We appreciate everything. And some of our friends who are sometimes friends, another time you don't know what to expect. We still have to deal with those too. We still have to deal with those. But let me tell you, because we are RPF, and you can't wish us away. There's no way you can wish us away. We are here. Here. This is our place. This is our country. We shall stay and stay and stay By the way, here I'm not talking just about RPF. I'm talking about the country through RPF. What I'm saying about our friends, I'm not talking about RPF as the cadres and people here and in our, I'm saying something that has been created by RPF in this country. I'm talking about this country. So this country is here whether you want it or not. And those of us who belong to this country are here whether you want us or not. We will be here until we are no more, until you are no more. This is why, when we are dealing with our friends, who come here and tell us, you know, you must do this, you have to do this, you know, we give you this, so if you don't do that, we don't give you this. Okay. We know how to politely keep maneuvering with that. But also, at a certain point, look them in the eyes and tell them, who do you think you are? course, by that I'm saying, when I'm saying, who do you think you are? I'm actually telling them I'm RPF. Microphone. I am telling them we are RPF. Yes, you can tell me who you are. Now, at the same time, when you say you are RPF, and there is this uniqueness you have created or want to create about yourself, you must also foot the bill, meaning you must actually act as such. You must qualify to be. You can't just be proud of being who you are, and then when you start acting, then people start wondering and say, but what happened? You understand what I mean? Yes, this sense of pride or responsibility, or this claim that you really want to be yourself, that you want to do things right, must be seen in you, in your actions. There's no question about it. I can't have somebody coming to me in that bad way of telling me what to do, what not to do, and looking down upon me, and they say, go to hell, and actually start acting in a manner that I deserve to be looked down upon. You understand that? That is the responsibility we have as RPF. Today and tomorrow. And we have to keep soldiering on for this. Whether you are there, or I am there, or not, somebody else who is there should be doing exactly that. So, really for this is how we manage ourselves. This is how we want to manage our relationships with others. And then you can feel free in yourself, in our society, in our families. We need to do, because it's not difficult, by the way. Even when you think it is difficult, the alternative, once you are there, is so bad for you. All those people, without exception, who left the RPF because they didn't like to be accountable, or they didn't like this or that about RPF, there is not a single one of them who succeeded in anything up to this day. Not one of them. If you get to know one of them, please let me know. So then what was the issue? First, why did you struggle? Second, what is the alternative that you went for that brought you better anything? There's none. So we may as well do our thing. Yesterday there was a debate, a very good debate, which we didn't conclude, by the way, and I don't think we are going to conclude it even now, but it was very interesting because it's worth having. Africa, can we keep talking about how we suffered injustices of all kinds in our history, in our past, and keep referring to that and keep going on with that, except doing the very things that vindicate us and say, actually, this is what we've been saying. This is what we want to be. Now we are. Why? How can we talk about colonialism, about blah, 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 about slavery, about this? There is no debate about how bad those were, what injustice that was. There's no debate about it. It's clear. The debate is about how do we walk away from that and be who we should have been in the first place. And we have all kinds of resources on our continent, the human resources, the all kinds of resources, all kinds. In fact, some of, it's really very ironical here. In these relationships, some of which continue to perpetuate injustices against us, those systems, those countries, you find among them there are fine men and women from our continent. You want to hear more of that? Yeah. Those Africans like me, some of them work for the institutions, global institutions, doesn't matter where, that actually do some injustice to us. And even them, when they are there, they start talking about, oh, they enslaved us, they did this. But then they are there doing similar injustices to their own. And it doesn't matter who does the injustice, whether it's from my own or from others, it is injustice still. So I'm not even talking about there being injustice that is worse than the other, or done by different people, some of whom should have been closer to me than the other. No, I'm just saying, as our continent of Africa, we need to resolve this problem, where we can always use this excuse that we have suffered for so long on the hands of some people. No, let's resolve this problem ourselves, because we know what to do. We know what needs to be done. So, let me Sometimes I'm sure you all know the problem going on in our region here. When you hear accusations going on between Rwanda and the DRC, we say that, DRC and Rwanda. If you really took a moment and thought about it, what is it? Why should it even be there? How are we going to take our countries, our continent that far if we are caught up in this nonsense? Why should there be a conflict at all between Rwanda and DRC? Why? Can anyone tell me the justification? Now, and then it goes around, it's as if Rwanda is impoverished because of DRC, or DRC is impoverished because of Rwanda. Does that make sense? And then there are these big guys who always come to sort us out and say, oh, you behave, if you don't, we'll do this to you, no. And then those of us, the presidents, you can imagine, I'm really unfortunate to be, I think. And somebody, yeah, but why don't you help me to deal with the DRC? If you don't, should help me. I'm crying on a microphone, telling our friends in Europe or America to help me deal with the DRC. They say, why don't you sanction the DRC? I mean, you can understand what I'm saying. Then, and they keep saying that, Jesus. Or, why would I have a country like Rwanda? So big, so rich. There I told you that there is no small country, so I'm talking about Rwanda. But if I had it, or that I have it, why should I go anywhere to beg for anything? Why? Why should I go to beg for anything from anybody when I have this Rwanda, this big country, these people? Can somebody tell me why we have become beggars? Can anybody tell me why? And then later on, we keep saying, we want to be at the same table. Well, you'll be there at the same table as a meal, not as somebody who is going to eat. Yes. The only difference is you are on the table as food to be eaten, not at the table as somebody to eat. This is the difference. So, can't you get tired? Can't we get tired of being meals for some other people? Can't we? We have to always prepare ourselves to be somebody's breakfast, somebody's lunch, and that's all we do every day? So what other claim do we have? What other claim do we have? If we can't put our heads together, work together, and first anyway, fix our problems in our countries, why? So please, RPF, can you help us? And our brothers and sisters who have come from brotherly and friendly countries, can we find some way of dealing with this? You know, I learned from where I was a refugee for many years. Somebody told us a story, which I have sometimes, I can't stop loving it. Somebody told us a story of, you know, I have told you stories of grasshoppers. Yeah, somebody told us a story, I loved it from that time up to now, till now. Because the grasshoppers, those who eat grasshoppers, they collect them, put them in a container, just preparing them to fry them and eat them. Before that happens, you make an observation. The grasshoppers in that container are busy tearing each other apart. They forget somebody's just waiting for them to. They will end up in the same saucepan, and they will be all eaten up. But before that, they are eating up each other. Can you have a better analogy than this as far as we Africans are concerned? Huh? So, but we can't handle everything at the same time. Or there are some things that are beyond us, one way or the other, or for some time or other. I'm now talking about RPF. While we cannot address continental problems, they are too big for us, or even global problems, they are too big for us. Why don't we focus, concentrate on our problems, those we can afford to deal with? Yes. You have that thinking in your mind that the world is large, the continent is big. Keep that in mind as you struggle within your own borders or country. But let's focus more on our country. Let's do the best for ourselves. Let's find reason, justification for us to be able to tell anybody who wants to mess us up that we don't agree, and tell them to go wherever they belong and leave us alone. We need to build our politics, our economy, our behavior, to justify that. Somebody should be able to see us and see a difference. I say, yeah, when so-and-so, when these people are saying this, yeah, actually, they are showing it in what they are doing. But I wish we could do the same across our continent. I don't want to go beyond this, but I would have at the same time told you stories about, again, from the spirit of RPF that has gone across our country that spirit has extended our hand to our brothers and sisters across the continent, to work with them, to support them as they do many things with us as well, so that we can all do well. Here I'm referring to for the reasons we are working with our brothers and sisters in Mozambique or in Central African Republic, or others serving in different forms in South Sudan, for those countries, for those others, just to know we are sharing the little good we have with you, and we mean so that we all thrive together, and as the rest of the continent, if we could move together, that's what we want for ourselves and for you, and that's the spirit of RPF. Asanteni sana.